The How to Make Money with Your Travel and Landscape Photography course has been out for 1 week now, and over 500 photographers from all around the world have already purchased the course, so thank you if you are one of them. There's only been 3 returns total, so I know things are going over really well. I've received a lot of emails, a lot of people that are ready to book their first break-even trip, which is super exciting. In this video, I'm going to go through a couple of the questions that I've received kind of the most either over email or Instagram message from people that have already purchased the course. So here we go. So question number 1 is one that I've received by far the most, and it is basically more or less that somebody's ready to book their first break-even trip or their first trip for profit with their camera, and they are wondering where to go. That usually comes in as kind of a list of like, hey, here's 4 places that I really want to go. Which one of these would you suggest? And the thing that's worked best for us is going to kind of those iconic cliche places. And I know as photographers, it's almost ingrained in us to want to go somewhere off the beaten track. Like you want to do your own expedition to Antarctica, like something just absolutely crazy. But what we found is that a trip to Italy does a lot better in sales than a trip to some far off place that people just really can't relate to or connect with. We find that when we do in-person galleries or even online sales, that a lot of the people that are actually buying the images, they've been there, they've had lunch at that cafe, or they've walked that bridge, and that's why they're buying the image. So as unsexy of an answer as that is, it's kind of to go to the cliche places. And I know that for a long time in my photography career, I was almost like, if I'm in Paris, I'm not going to shoot the Eiffel Tower, I'm going to go get lost somewhere. If I'm in Italy, I'm not going to shoot the Vatican. I'm going to go find some hidden back alleys and photograph those. But it turns out the shot of the Vatican and the shot of the Eiffel Tower are going to sell a heck of a lot better than your back alley shots. Unfortunately, that is what the metrics say to me. So to answer question number 1, go somewhere that's a little more cliche because your sales are going to be a lot better from it. And that first place, that first trip, the first break-even trip or for-profit trip that you go on is going to really set the tone of your future travel and landscape career as far as what you think is possible. So if you go with an easier quote unquote destination that just already it relates to people that people already love, people love Paris, people love Italy, that really kind of lets you know it's possible. And to kind of get that home run of a first trip and to really understand that, yes, this is a possibility to make money is really cool. And at that point, you can start doing kind of whatever you want to do. If you really want to get lost somewhere cool, I think the second trip is the time to do that. But for the first trip, if you just want to show yourself that you can make money, definitely go somewhere that's a little bit easier, that already has ties to people, and people are going to be a lot more likely to give you money in exchange for those photographs. Question number 2 kind of borders on question number 1, and it is specifically what photographs of mine are actually selling the best. And my list kind of breaks down to the doctor's office tree is number 1. The doctor's office tree, we call it that because it's that cliche image of a tree in Kenya that every doctor's office or dentist has on the wall. So that one does the best, even though it's a cliche. It's a really warm sunset, nice feeling image. And I think it's simple enough to kind of fit into any room with a warmer feel. So that is why people are more willing to buy it and put it up on their wall. Number 2 is our shot of Manarola. This is a shot that I'm going to say 20,000 photographers from all around the world already have. And what makes ours different is basically that we made a video about it. So people can get connected to the behind the scenes of it, and they can see us go to Manarola and set up and take the photo. And I think that that's kind of done really well, that they're going to buy that photo rather than buying somebody else's photo just off of like iStock or from HomeSense or IKEA or whatever, that at least they have some sort of history, and that when people ask them like, oh, like that's a cool photo, it's like, yeah, we can show you the behind the scenes video, which I think is super cool and super powerful. And it's nice to just know the story behind why that image exists. And the third image is the Wanaka tree in New Zealand. And I think that the reason that this image does so well is, again, it is a very simple composition. As you can see, trees have ended up twice in my top 3. So people just kind of, I guess, connect with that. The other thing this image has going for it is it is fresh water, and subconsciously your brain just as a human, you like fresh water because that is how you survive. So I think that that's another reason why this image does so well. And also it's just cool. I would say that this is the only image that a lot of people probably haven't been to, that even if you've been to Wanaka, that the chances of you going out to see the tree are I guess pretty high. It's one of the tourist destinations there. But if you're going to New Zealand, you're probably going to Queenstown, or you're probably going to Auckland, and Wanaka might be like on your second New Zealand trip. So I don't think that this one is selling because people have been there. I think it's selling because it's just a good feeling image that fits in well to a room, and there's a little bit of a story behind it. Took us a little while to take the image. That episode will be up in a couple months, I think, and the other impressive thing is that The stories of the other 2 images are already online on YouTube, on everything, but the Wanaka tree still is only an Instagram thing, but it's still performing the best. So very happy with that. So that answers those questions. If I can give any advice, I would say shoot things with fresh water. People just subconsciously just connect to fresh water, as well as kind of trails, roadways, lines like that, that show that people have already explored where they're going. That's another thing that Trey Ratcliffe, when we interviewed him in New Zealand, was kind of talking about, that just like your brain just wants to like that kind of that grass cutout where people have obviously walked through, like the game trail or whatever. And it gives you a feeling that you can't just get looking at an image of the ocean, because the ocean is scary and dangerous. Fresh water is not so scary and dangerous. So maybe that's why the Wanaka tree does really well. Question number 3 is a question I only received one single time, but I thought that it was important. It's actually based on the How to Travel the World for Nearly Free course, which is a bonus course that comes with the How to Make Money with Your Travel and Landscape Photography. Basically, the premise of it, if you don't yet have it or if you haven't looked through it, is how to kind of approach hotels and ask them for free rooms or free just things in exchange for your photography, licensing them like 1 or 2 images to use in their Instagram, things like that. So the question is that they've contacted a few hotels and none have gotten back to them yet. I know it's really discouraging when you send out 3 or 4 emails and no people get back to you. And the way that we kind of ran diagnostic testing on this, and we figured out that she was contacting people specifically through either a PR link or just the hotel manager direct. And we just kind of refocused that energy, and I told her to start reaching out to the people on Twitter. So if you want to go to a specific resort hotel, reach out to them on Twitter. Don't just find an email address like an info ad or whatever. Just find the person in charge of the Twitter account, because those people are the ones that need to create this content for Instagram and for Twitter and Facebook and all of the social media. So reach out to those people, because if you can convince them that you're worth bringing and you're going to make their life easier, you're going to make a 15-day content calendar or something for them and make them look like rock stars, then they are going to push you to their boss that is able to make that call, that yes or no. Whereas if you're emailing a manager, they're probably just going to ignore you because it's not really their department unless it's a very small hotel. And also it's kind of the social media team's job to respond to people on Twitter. So that's why I use it. And everyone has somebody designated to their Twitter stream now in 2017. So that is the best way to get in touch with them. And from there, you can ask for either their personal email address or just an email address to get a hold of the hotel at, which will at least get you in the ballpark of whoever is able to actually make that call and give you that free stay, that you're within 1 or 2 emails from them now, rather than just reaching out cold to somebody that you're not going to benefit their life, rather than reaching out cold to somebody that just really won't see the benefit of it. Much easier to reach out to Twitter. And the last question is, what is my current kit as far as photography goes? And I know that if you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, that I tend to buy and sell a lot of equipment, that I'll go buy a couple Fuji cameras for like 2 weeks and sell them, or I'll pick up a Sony A9 for literally an afternoon. And through all of that, Nikon is still my main system. And whenever I'm traveling, I usually have a D500 and I have a 16 to 80 millimeter lens. I usually shoot most of my video on that. If I need something wider, if I know I'm going to be shooting a lot in cars or things like that, I'll bring the Tamron 10 to 24, which I really love. And if I'm out shooting portraits, I will be using the 58 millimeter f1.4. Or the Tamron 85mm 1.8 if I need to do video, because it has VC in it that smooths out that video. The other bonus with that 16 to 85 is also that it has VR in it, so it really kind of just takes away the SLR look, the shake to your video. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any other questions, feel free to drop them in the comments, and I'll make another future video at some point and answer as many of them as I can. But yeah, thanks for watching, and thank you if you've already picked up the course, or if you're thinking about picking up the course, there's a 100% money back guarantee on it. So try it out and see if you like it, because according to statistics, I think you're going to like it. And also, I did put a lot of effort and time into the course. So that's all for me. I am Taylor Jackson, and I will see you next time that I make a video and you watch that video. That was awkward.